How's your audio?
Very good.
Sounding good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Things like Ace.
Welcome, everybody, to the second edition of Georgia Archery Podcast. Today's guest is someone that a lot of folks know, Mr. David Alligood. He's the regional sales rep for PSE. How you doing, David?
Afternoon, folks. I'm doing just great, Big John. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me.
Well, the reason I had you on here is because you are the regional rep. We've been knowing each other for a long time, and just so happens that you were in the neighborhood, so I said, come on and by and let's talk a little bit. So tell me where you cover and, what you sell.
At present time, I have the states of Georgia, Alabama, and South Mississippi from I-20 down to the coast. Been with PSE now for 3 years. Actually, May the 16th was my third-year anniversary, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's always an adventure. I've shot PSE equipment for over 30 years, 30 plus years. I can't remember when I actually started shooting a bow. Maybe I should, but I do not. But PSE equipment has been my choice for 30 plus years, and just happened to work out when Mr. Jim Landon retired that I only can say I guess I was in the right spot at the right time.
Well, Mr. Jim was some hard shoes to fill because I've been knowing Jim for 30 plus years. And,
as a matter of fact, you introduced me to Jim formally in 2008 at an ASA tournament, if you remember that.
Yes, I do. Anyway, since you sell PSE, tell us about your, the best hunting bow. It's getting to be about that time of year. What's the hunting bow?
This year, 2019 product line, the Evoke series, which replaced the Evolve from 2018. Still using the Evolve cam. That has been a hit for PSE. That cam, of course, my opinion is a little biased, but probably the most efficient and most adjustable cam on the market. Draw length, let off, tuning options are just amazing. How many tuning options you can use. You can fine tune that bow to fit you individually, and it's not that hard of a job to do. But as far as the hunting lineup this year, the Evoke 31 would be the flagship hunting bow. It is, of course, 31 inches, 6-inch brace height, and 342 IBO. The Evoke 35 follows in line with that. If you're looking for a shorter axle-to-axle bow, still in the Evolve family, which was a mid-year release last year, is the Evolve 28. About a 7-inch brace, 340, I believe, somewhere 335, and 28-inch axle to axle. Very compact, very, very comfortable shooting hunting bow. If you're looking for a not as quite a high price of a flagship bow, and we have a couple of options in our lineup. The Evoke Light, which was just introduced actually about 2 months ago, and it's very similar. The riser design is very similar to the Decree from 2016, which happens to be one of my favorite bow models from PSE, the Decree. And it features the Evolve cam system, and it's a 31-inch axle-to-axle, 6-inch brace height bow. Very comfortable, very smooth shooting bow, and it is not a four-figure bow. It is an $850 retail price point bow.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Then if you're looking if you're more of a bargain hunter, and today's world, I completely understand that. We have the Drive and the Bow Madness, which features a 3B cams, a 3-track binary, 85% let off cam, and for the price, those two bows are hard to beat for the performance you get. And then we all the way down to the old faithful Stinger. The Stinger's still in the lineup. And $399 retail for a complete package is tough to beat. It is really a good little shooting bow, a very good shooting introductory bow.
Well, you talked about all the bows that in the lineup, but you missed the bow that I'm hunting with.
Well, for those guys that are still the speed freaks, you remember the guys from the Omen and Full Throttle days. The Expedite is probably, again, I am a little biased because I do sell the line. But the Expedite features the Evolve cam system, of course, the 80 to 90% adjustable let-off with an IBO of 350 at 90%. For those guys that really want to push the envelope a little bit, you can change the module out to the fast let-off module, and you get 360 feet per second. But for some folks, the trade-off in the fast let-off as opposed to the 90% let-off module, the fast let-off module is 75%, 65 to 75. So the trade-off for an extra 10 feet per second is not worth it to most guys for the comfort you get with the 80 to 90% let-off module.
That bow does not shoot like a short brace height bow.
No, it is a 5-inch brace height bow, 5 1/4, but you have to shoot it to actually experience what a short brace height bow feels like. That, like you said, it does not feel like a short brace height. It does not shoot like a short brace height bow.
It points, it shoots, and I'm not going to lie to you, I shoot it at 57 pounds at 28.5 inches and a 412 grain, 415 grain arrow at 284 feet per second. I think it'll do everything I want it to do.
Absolutely. That's very close to, I have a similar setup that I used to shoot a pig with, and it 28-inch draw, 440 grain arrow, right 278, somewhere along in there. I might have tweaked mine a little bit.
Well, everybody's got a little tweak going on.
That's right.
So we know you're an employee for PSE and you're a sales rep, but you being a rep also carry some other products that you seem to rep with your products. So.
Yes, we do. We also rep product lines for Arizona Archery Enterprises, which better known as AAE, and they have a full line of vanes, fletchings, stabilizers, stabilizer mounts, weights, different stabilizer sets. They have a lot of recurve accessories to go along with their line. We rep for Scorpion Venom, which is probably one of the premier string care lines on the market. String wax, string cleaner, string fluid. It's a very complete line, the Scorpion Venom products. We also rep for Stanislawski, which makes some very high-end, high-quality target releases. We are in present waiting for a hunting release, a wrist strap hunting release, and I cannot wait to get mine. But yeah, we do carry those three, rep for those three lines, and some very, very good products. Yes, sir.
Okay, see, that's what I wanted everybody to understand, that he's David, you are an employee for PSE, but what those companies have come to PSE and said, hey, since these guys are out and about, we just let you rep our products.
Absolutely. Also. Nationwide coverage. Yeah. With our sales force. Exactly right.
And being a coach, the several stands we put in kids' hands, and they've worked very well. So.
The Element in particular is a good release to start with as far as back tension goes. I know you've used it on many occasions to get these youngsters started.
And the other one now, what is it called? My brain is just lost. With the open face, but it's still a pull through. Comes in two versions of thumb trigger.
The Perfex.
That's
comes in a pull through tension release or thumb trigger release. The Than Perfex, long neck, short neck, and I did extremely much like the clip. Such a small feature, but a little clip that actually holds the release onto the D loop so that you can, if you wanted to hunt with it, you can clip it on.
Yep.
Let it rest till you're ready to make the shot.
Well, I got a lot of kids with smaller hands, and the Element was nice. But when they made the Perfex, it worked really well for a lot of the kids. So, and I'm telling you, with one thing about that release is that when you pull through, it hits the same spot every time. It's not inconsistent. It always breaks at the same poundage, and we've had nothing but great luck out of it. So
yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with the pull throughs and back tensions, and we're not going to get into that discussion because you know the reason why I shoot a different style release.
Most definitely. Well, yeah, I think since we're doing this, and this is Georgia Archery, how many stores in the state of Georgia is your product in?
John, I would have to go home and count. That may be a sad state of my keeping up. But
your age is showing.
Maybe that's what it is. My age is showing. Don't even talk about my age. We won't talk about that. Next time we talk, I will tell you exactly how many I have and what cities they are in and who runs those shops.
Yes. Well, I know that there's a lot of shops that have PSE, also carry stand, and carry scorpion venom and so forth and AAE products through the state. So that's what, and everybody knows, if you see David Alligood come through, everybody knows who he represents. And if you've gone to the ASA, he was sitting in the booth at all of the ones that are in his territory.
Right. Speaking of the ASA, I want to bring this up really quick. The last one was 2 weekends ago in Appling, or 3 weekends ago now. 2 weekends ago, 3 weekends ago. I told you my age is showing. I can't remember. But PSE had a very, very good weekend at the ASA in Appling, Georgia. If I remember, I made a post about it. We had 9 podium finishes from first to third place. Jack Wallace, of course, finishing first in Open Pro, and Michael Braden second in Senior Pro. And then 7 more podium finishes and 8 more top 10s that I'm aware of. There might have been some more, but less 17 finishes in the top 10, which is not bad. And on the same weekend, and you can correct me on this one, the Georgia Cup was held the same weekend.
Yes.
And there was one other tournament that was held that weekend. Maybe it was a local.
Not sure.
I know the Georgia Cup.
Yes.
We had several places,
yes,
several podium finishes in the Georgia Cup.
Yep.
And I was in the middle of trying to gather that information, and had a tragedy in my family, and kind of took first place above all else. But I will get some information together. But that particular weekend was a great weekend for PSE, and I'm looking forward to Kentucky in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'll tell you, I tried to make my comeback in 9 years since I had shot an ASA. Matter of fact, we shot our last ASA together.
That's right.
9 years ago. And I decided that I wanted to make a comeback, and I took my old Perform X and put it together. And the first day was very good. I'll tell everybody I shot 14 up, so I'll take that. The second day, I just couldn't get it to rolling, and it wasn't the equipment fault. There was no fault of the equipment at all. It was the fault of the Indian behind the release, and he just couldn't get it done. But I had a blast. I saw it was like old home week. All the people I haven't seen in forever, and come by and talked and spoke to people and seen, Darren, what class you shooting now, that kind of thing, and had a ball. So I am planning on doing that more often.
I hope you do. It was good to see you. It's always, the ASAs are just one big gathering of family. The archery family is huge. I received a lot of support and prayers this weekend after the accident in my family.
Yes.
A lot of prayers and support, and it was greatly appreciated and felt. The ASA, it was good to see you there. I hope we get to see you again. I had my own issues at the ASA. Your comment about the second day not being the bow, it was the Indian behind the bow. And in 99.9% of the cases, that is generally the issue. It's not the bow, it's the operator. And my first day of competition at the ASA was very ugly. one of the worst scores I have ever turned in. And after 5 or 6 targets, I finally convinced myself that it was not me. There was something going on, because I was consistently hitting high. The further out the target was, the higher it was. And I don't have an explanation, but I took it that night to a friend's house, and we tinkered around and moved my sight pointer, the indicator, and the next day I shot 30-plus points better than I did the day before. So there are extreme cases where it is something going on that you just cannot explain.
Could not put your finger on it, right?
Nope.
That's what we call archery, right?
That's exactly why they call it archery. Archery happened.
That's right. Archery happens a lot. Well, anything else you want to give to all our, any other information you want to give out to all of my listeners out here today?
Well, not to push things forward or anything, but next year, 2020, marks 50 years for PSE. I have not seen any product for 2020 product line. I have seen pictures of potential prototypes, and all I can say is just be ready for 2020, because it's going to be a good year.
Well, we didn't really talk about the target line.
Let's talk about the target line.
The target line. I have a Perform X40, and I loved it and shot it, and you said, what do you want? And, this time when you were looking at different stuff, and I was like, I want one that looks just like that one.
Exactly. Got twins. John has twin bows.
I have twins. Someone called it Thing 1 and Thing 2.
That's right.
So, yes. So I have one set up for 3D and one set up for spots. Also, I have shot the Perform X 3D. It's just, I like a longer bow. I've always have, always will. Everybody understands that. And you also have
the shoot down
that has just been mutilating it with all the people that are shooting it in 3D. They love that bow.
The shoot down is a great bow. The Supra Focus was introduced for 2019. The riser design heavily influenced by the old Dominator. The Shark X I used to shoot, a lot of deflex in the risers, not much reflex in that riser. It's not a speed demon, but it still gets respectable speeds for a 7-inch brace height bow. And that's my bow of choice for right now at present time. It shoots really good for me when it's set up correctly, and I know there's not an issue with it. But then also we have a couple of bows that, and I've seen a lot of younger people on the line shooting these bows. The Phenom comes in 2 models, long draw and short draw, and at a retail of $699, that is a phenomenal bow for somebody looking to get into the target market.
Most definitely.
And not drop $1,000 just for a bare bow.
Yes.
It's a great bow. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you told me earlier that we have 3 representatives on the USA
Paralympic team,
right. 3 ladies.
That are all shooting that bow.
All shooting the Phenom. That's exactly right.
Yep.
I look forward to their success stories.
Yep. So they flew out today. One of them happens to be a student of mine. Flew out today, and we'll be shooting in Amsterdam next week.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Also this weekend, Gator Cup in Florida. Wish I was going to be there. But Gator Cup always, PSE usually has a pretty good turnout, and I know I've written a couple of checks down that way a couple of years ago, and hope somebody gets to do the same thing.
I think Van Anna will be there, and I think Scott Starnes will be there.
Scott and Dee will be there.
Those are potential check writers for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Also, it's the last S3DA qualifier this weekend at On Point Archery in Appling. So
cool.
if the S3DA kids are trying to get their last little shooter of the year points in, and we have some tight races in that. Matter of fact, the girl who's leading elementary shoots a Phenom.
That's right.
SD. So, there's a great potential everywhere with that. So anyway, I digress on that aspect. I think I appreciate you giving me your time today and talking about your product. Have you tied up a big one yet? You got some pictures of something good?
No, I have not. I have not even ventured into the woods looking for deer lately. I have taken a couple of weekends, a couple of days in the last month or two, just on the weekend, and killed a couple of hogs, and that's been a lot of fun. During the fall of the year, I'm on the road pretty heavy. My hunting during prime season is kind of limited, but that's what I signed up for.
It's also bow prime season.
Exactly.
So you have to do your job.
That's exactly right.
I understand that. Well, David, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me, John.
Thanks for coming out. And this is the end. Until next time, I'm Big John. We'll see you.